Welcome back. So on my bench today is a Queen Treadle. This is a machine made by the White Rotary Company, I believe. That is what her owner told me. And I was thinking that it was going to turn the wheel backwards, but actually when I'm looking at it, it looks like you turn the wheel the standard way, you know, learning as we go here. This machine is going to get repainted. She's going to be quite light, lovely, and festive when we're done. So the first thing to do is go ahead and take her apart. I haven't done one of these on the channel before, so let's get started. In here she does have the shuttle. Excuse my phone. Okay, so that is good. And I wanted to show you the way this is. It's kind of nifty. If I can get this old thread out of the way here. Come on, old thread. It should just pop. It's got a little spindle inside. Well, hang on a sec. That thread is caught in the little tension area there. If I can pop her out. There we go. All right, so it has a little spindle in there that the bobbin is going to go onto. So you do need to have the special bobbins made just for this machine because they'll be hollow going through to fit on there, okay? And this is, you know, a bit rusty, but it's not terribly pitted, so I think we can polish that up really good. So I'm going to go ahead and put this away somewhere safe, and we'll get started taking her apart. Okay, let's see here. Now on this machine, underneath here, it has this little bracket, which actually hooks into the treadle base that is still at my customer's house. And I'm going to take this off first because every time I tip her, this wants to come down and set upright, and that would put the whole weight of the machine on that. I don't want it to get bent or anything. So let's get started with that. Got a way too big bit. Oh my gosh, this is not starting very efficiently. All right. Okay. Hope this is not omen of things to come here, you know? Okay, well, we're going to tip her up on her nose. Up here. And let me put a block under her nose. Organized, Marie, get organized. I want to make sure I don't have a thread take-up lever under there. All right. Here we are. This is what I'm working on here. My goodness. That is on. There's no way that is reverse threaded, is it? No, it's just stuck. All right, now this, you can see it does turn, but I do need to get this off. So give me a second. I'm going to put a little penetrating oil and heat on that little screw and get it off. Can't believe how hard this is. It is turning now, though, finally. I had to put oil in from this side, heat it up from this side and from the top with my torch. Let it cool, put more oil in there, heat it up again, and I think we are good. Yeah. Yay. Okay. That was in there so tightly. Okay. So, what do we have? The shouldered screw. There is a washer right under the head, and then this little piece, which is on this way, okay? So when you put it back on, it's going to swoop down this way towards the bottom. Okie doke, let me put this away and get on with my life. Alrighty, so with her back up here, I kind of want to get these slide plates off. The front one was off when she arrived. Oh, you know, these little hinges back here are going to be an issue. Maybe those should come off next, huh? Please be easier. Yes, okay. So we're just going to pull these off. I'll be polishing up these hinges before they go back on. That's what they look like. Okay, so the bigger part is on the bottom underneath, and it's laying so that it's nice and flat, so that the round part of the hinge is right behind here. Okay, so if you try to put it back on like that, that is not right. It goes like that. Okay. Okay, so while I'm down here, let's take a look at the underneath here, shall we? Okay. If I turn the wheel, it's rubbing up against my table, but if I turn the wheel, you can see how there's the pivot. It's going to go back and forth. This is pretty standard here. This is a little bit different than a lot that I've seen down here, the way that that is moving. And then up here, there is what looks like a leather piece right here that's acting I guess to protect this round cam here from this. So it's going to be rubbing up against here. So hopefully I can save that leather. If not, I'm guessing it's leather. Feels like a very hard leather. Might be rubber. I don't know. I'll see when I take it apart. Okay. And then of course we have a spring here, which is going to help move the feed dogs back in position. I'm assuming. We'll see as I take it apart. Okay, so I need to start with the outermost pieces first. This one is connected to a lever up on top, so I don't want to flip her again, so I'm actually going to start up here. This is a vertical shaft here. It is coming down in this piece, but what I'm seeing is that it looks like I have clamps here and here that I need to loosen. Now, they're not clamps to pull this off entirely, okay, but they will loosen it up. So, and I do have a, oops, I can turn this, a screw here, which should pull this off of this end, screw here that should pull this off of that end. But before I can get to that, I really should deal with some of this stuff because this is what is impacting that. All that being said, I think I am going to start with this little area right here. So hoping for the best. Yes, it is unscrewing. Okay. So I have this little L bracket, okay, right here. So there's a screw and there is a washer right underneath that screw that's going to hold it on this way. Round part against the round part of the casting. Rectangular part against a rectangular surface. So that's easy to figure out. All right, now right here, once I took that off, we have this spring and it's held on by this screw. But before I take that off, what I want to show you is there's a little groove right here and it just kind of is set into that groove. Okay, so I just popped it in, popped it out. So now that it's popped out, let me see if I can get this screw out. And it looks like this is another one that looks like the same size screw, but it also has a washer. So I'm seeing a theme going on here, okay? So it was the screw, the washer, and then this loop here is what that was going through, like that, okay? So let me go ahead and get that put away. Okay, so now that that is out of the way, I have this screw here, which is attaching this little bracket. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get that off. Once again, it looks like a similar screw with a washer, behind it. There it goes. Yes. Oh, and this is an adjustment point too. Okay, good to know. So as you can see, this slot is a slot, not a hole, and it's going into this hole. So this is a point where this will slide forward or backward. Excuse me. But I want to point out right now, you can see from where the dirty mark is. If I set this in here like this and flip it over, this is the position that the screw is in right now. So if I try to match that when I put it back together, it is more towards the little L shape. I maybe have like 2 millimeters on this side and more on that side. So it's slightly more this way than center, okay? So hang on, put that down. Let's see what this is. Well, whatever it is, there's a little bump here that is attaching it, almost like a little bit of a rivet. When I clean this, this should soften up when I soak it, and then we'll see if it's something that can be saved or if it's something that can be replaced. I have a feeling that that's just a little hole that has been punched in this material, and then this is popped into place here. But we'll see when I clean it. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and put those away. Okay, so with those pieces off, this is moving. And this screw right here is holding on the feed dogs, which are up here underneath the plate. So I probably should work on getting those plates off really quick. So let me go ahead and flip her up and handle that. All right, so I'm going to see. That is way too big of a bit, you know. That's another tough one. Okay, pushing down. Oh, it is turning. Okay. Lots of gunk coming out of that hole. The owner did do a good job of doing the preliminary cleaning and everything, so I'm very thankful for that. Okay, so this is the screw. Okay, let's see if I can pop this off now. I should be able to. I may need to turn her upside down and pop it from the bottom. But while I have this here, this back one, it's pretty stuck. This little slot here is what you would normally grab to push out. These plates are not in the best condition, but I'm going to see if I can put my screwdriver on the inside so it's not really up against the edge of the metal. It's more just kind of downward. And a tiny hammer and see if that can get it started. There it goes. Okay, so now that it's started, grab my wooden handle down here, and I can really whack. And the wood isn't going to damage the metal, so that's good. Turn her so it doesn't go onto the floor. Hang on. Okay, there we go. All right, so that is the back plate. All right, and will this come out yet? No. All right, let's flip her up. I can see where that plate is right here. Get a little punch and just put it up against there. There it goes. Now it's coming loose. Get stuff out of my way. There you go. Now you can see. See, it's up. I need to turn this wheel to get that needle out of the way. Okay. So there is the needle plate. Very thick. The other plates were very, very thin. The needle plate is very bulky, so that's nice and steady. All right, let me put these away. Okay, so now that those plates are off, if I oh my goodness, that's another tough one. If I unscrew this screw, there it goes. I should be able to pull off the whole little feed dog. And again, we have a washer. Do you see a theme here? Same size screw and a washer. And there it goes. I probably should have taken the presser foot off first. Hang on, I got things falling out here. All right, so there's the grimy little feed dogs. Okay. But as soon as that came off, this wanted to fall. So what I want to show you is the position that it's in. We have a fork up here, okay, and we have the flat part down here. That is just grime. That's not anything to be saved there. And then up here, what is this? This looks like another little leather bumper right here, okay? So we're going to leave that there. I'm not taking this screw off yet. When I take this apart to clean, I'll take it off at that point. Well, you know what? I might as well do that right now. Why not, Marie? Why not? All right, so this is the orientation it is, okay? So the fork's over here, screw, little nub down here, the little leather part is pointing towards the fork. Oh my goodness. There it goes. Okay, and what do you want to bet if there's a washer? There is a washer. Again, it looks like the same size head of the screw, maybe slightly shorter in the threads. This little piece here, and I'm going to keep all of this together like that. Alrighty, so with that stuff here out of the way now, I'm going to go ahead and take the bracket off here for the shuttle carrier. You know what, I'm going to flip her up so I can get some leverage on that. Hang on. If I can. That wheel wants to roll. Maybe not. Maybe I'll leave that on and take it off after. Okay. I could take the wheel off. I could do that, but I'm down here right now. Okay. I'm going to take off this screw here, and that should pull off. And then if I loosen up this screw, that should release this whole shaft to be able to pull out. But before that's going to pull out, I want to loosen up the clamping screws, if I can. Okay, that one is coming loose, so yay, that's a good thing. Different screw, yay, slightly rounded. Get this one. Oops, back in there. It's a better angle here. Okay, so now that clamp shouldn't be under pressure. So now if I can come in here and loosen this screw, okay, that's what it looks like. Oh good, it has a little nub in it at the end, which tells me there's a depression in the shaft, which is going to help me line it up in the correct place. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to need to pull that off. It's not going to want to come off. I know that right now. I'm going to coat a lot of things down here. Even though they look clean, I'm going to coat them with penetrating oil right now and give them a few minutes to think about themselves. And then I'll come back and try to pull this whole little cam off. Okay. Trying out a different penetrating oil today. I found this in the back of my cupboard where I keep my paint. I think I put it in there at one point. So see how it goes. I am not, sworn on to one brand at all. Okay, let me go ahead and loosen up this screw down here. And it also has a little point, so that is very encouraging. Let's see, are these the same? Are they? They look like they're the same. Yay, see? So that's good. That way I don't have to keep them separate, so I can put both of those in there. And yeah, we're just gonna let the penetrating oil do their thing on there for a little bit. While I'm waiting for that, this is gonna need to come off. The first thing I'm gonna, well, I don't know if I can get to this screw with this thing in the way here. Maybe not, maybe not. Which tells me I'm going to need to do some other things. Well, all right, so while we're waiting for penetrating oil to do what it does best, this is, I believe, for locking it in place on the treadle cabinet. And there's a spring in there. This is just punched on down there. I'm looking for a screw. I don't think there is one. I should be able to unscrew this so that it can come out, because I'm going to need that off. I'm going to need to get something to help me tweak it. I bought these nifty padded pipe, adjustable pipe wrench pliers, Harbor Freight the other day. I think this would be a great place to use it, because that's going to make sure I don't damage the little knurled area up here. Okay, so if righty-tighty, I need to hold it on the bottom here too. These are also nice. Okay. Well, it's not turning at all. Not releasing. Okay. So you know what that means? That means I'm going to put penetrating oil up in here for right now too. You can see where I can push that spring up. I think it needs, there's got to be threads. You know what it is? I know what it is. This is threaded. Okay, so if this is held still, this is going to be threaded here, and then there's going to be spring in there. I believe it's this little piece at the bottom that has me perplexed. All right, well, let's just see. I'm going to go online and see if I can find a parts list for this machine. Sometimes you can. I don't know if I can. And that'll tell me if this is threaded all the way through or if that's just pounded through, because that kind of looks like the end of a shaft too. You know? If it is just pounded through, I'm going to have to leave it in place. So we'll save that for later. That is another problem for future me, unfortunately. But what I can do is this down here is the stitch length knob. Okay? So I need to be able to unscrew that. And it's too big for those fancy pliers. Let's try these. Okay, that did. That came off, yay. All right, so there's that little threaded piece. Different cup. I need to, there's a little washer pointer thing here. It looks like it's kind of rusted into place. So let me work on that for a second. All right, I think we've got it. Come on. All right, there we go. All right, so there's the pointer. Needs to be cleaned, obviously, but it is complete. All right, so now this is loose up here. I'm going to go ahead and take the plate off and keep it with all of this stuff here. So let's see. There's one little screw. bobbin winder is kind of in the way of this one, but we'll see. Okay, there's the other one. And can I lift this plate off? That's the question. Hang on a sec. Ah, okay. From the bottom, I can see part of that plate. So I'm thinking, just like I did with the needle plate, I'm going to tap it out from the bottom. So once again, let me get a little punch that's kind of going to fit in there. There goes. All right. Yep. Okay. Okay, so now that this is just hanging out over here, I'll move you. This is what I need to get released. So once again, we look like we have the same screw with a washer here. Move you up out of the way. Yes, it's turning. Very well. Indeed. Okay. All right. I'm going to take this all off like this. So that is the top. That, I don't think that's going to come off. That's just part of that bar. Okay. Coming this way. This is punched on, so I don't think that this little anchor-shaped piece is going to come off, but the little screw and washers are going to go on like that through that upper hole. Okay. Okay, now I want to show you this piece here is slightly unusual. It's right here. It doesn't have a slot for a screwdriver on the end, and it looks like a square-shaped piece. But if you look on the inside, don't know if I can get the camera to see in there. In this little depression right here, there is a little hole. Oh my gosh, let's see if I can turn another light on. Can you see right in there? There's a little hole right here, okay? And in that little hole, I can see what looks like the end of a screw. All right, so this thing should come out, but since it's not threaded, I'm thinking it just pushes in, and that screw that I pulled out here was kind of holding it in place. That's what it looks like to me. So I'm just going to try to wiggle it out. I'm going to spray more penetrating oil in this hole, the one in the top, let it sit for a minute, and then just see if I can wiggle that out. Just gave it a quick wiggle, and it is coming loose already. So if continue to wiggle. Hang on. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. All right. So that's what I was seeing from the other side. And we have a square-shaped or rectangle-shaped washer thing here. Not sure exactly, but it does rotate. And I have a feeling that this is what that fork that was going that way was sliding back and forth on, like, so the fork would be up like that, okay? So yeah, that's going to go ahead and get cleaned up. I want to show you before I start tackling these, when I look in that hole, I can see a little groove, so I know that those little pointy screws do line up with a groove here and over here on this one right there, okay? So at this point, I just need to get this little cam kind of rotated off of there. Let me make sure there's no screw on the back side. No pin, no screw. So it should, with enough encouragement, want to come off. Again, Trying out my handy dandy gentle pliers here. Let's see what I can do to get it moved out. If I can get it just to rotate a bit, then I can tap it loose. Okay, it is rotating a little bit, so that's good. Let me see if I can just put a tap there and pop it off. Okay. I'm using brass because the brass is going to dent before the steel will. Gentle taps. This is just a little jeweler's hammer, you know. We're not wailing on this thing. We're just tapping it off. Okay. There we go. So that is good. It's going to go with those pieces over there. This should, in theory, be free now, okay, because this screw is off. So basically, I just need to be able to get it out of here. There is a place down. I can get this rotated so I can see. Right here, where I can put another tap. I'm going to get a little bit bigger one here, right here, and then just tap the whole thing out that way. Well, maybe this little one will work too. Let's see. No, I think I need to get a bigger one. Oh, no, it's going. It's going. There it goes. Okay, so if, looking up at it this way, there it goes. Now this end here was flush with the end of the metal there, so when it goes back in, it goes in all the way. Okay, so looking at this, these two grooves are on the exact same position, and the shaft looks the same on both sides. No, this side that was towards the front, okay, that had the little round cog, it has a round hole, okay? This one that was down towards the end has more of a square-shaped hole, so that's how I can tell the difference. And this should come off now. Come on, there it goes. All right, and then that piece is gonna come off. So when I put it back together, this little groove here, that is the groove that's gonna line up with this hole, except it'll be pushed on all the way. Okay, so now that that is out of the way, I can probably get to this screw now. So let me loosen that up. Yes. This is a clamping screw. It's pinching these two sides of that fork together. And there's a little round end of the vertical shaft here, and on either side of that there's going to be, hopefully, a little washer that's kind of shaped like a little bowl. Okay, so this is it, and again, the screw went in with the head, the thread, the screwy part towards the front. Okay, all right. When I release this will come off, but pay attention, there's a little washer down here and up there. Okay, let's see how tricky you are going to be. You know what, let me put some things away. Before I tackle this screw, I noticed that there's a screw, looks like a set screw on the side here, and I'm concerned that that may be locking this one in. So I'm gonna tip her up on her nose and try to attack this little set screw first. Okay, let's see how we can do it, huh? She's not wanting to turn. I think I'm going to soak that with more penetrating oil for right now. Actually, I decided I'm going to clean it up around it first. I need a new battery in this. Oh, I got to show you. The chuck on my Dremel died. But I found these that are like keyless chucks, so I don't need to grab a wrench every time I'm going to trade it out. Found those on Amazon, so that's fun. Okay, let me spray some penetrating oil on here and see if it will come loose. Okay, the little torch penetrating oil thing seemed to do its job because now she's coming out easily. Okay, and it is a tiny little set screw that I just dropped. Let me grab it. Okay, so now that that set screw is out, this is coming off very easily, which is good. All right, so it's just a regular flat screw. And let's see how I can wiggle this off. Once again, we're going to try the fancy pliers, but you don't want to do squat. Okay, we're going to try these, which are also not doing anything. Well, let's get a bit more aggressive here. There it goes. It just needed something with a bit more oomph. It is unthreading itself here, so give me a moment. This shape like that. Again, for pipes. Come on, loosen up. That is still tight. Okay. I get tired of turning that way. Okay, can I just pull it out? Yes, I can. I probably could have pulled it out the entire time. It wasn't threaded on the inside. Okay. Now we know, so that, I don't know if you can even see all the crud inside of there. Lots of crud. All right, this should slide off now. Should. I'm going to try to catch these little washers down here. All right. So this is them. Okay, one on top, one on the bottom. And this piece, and let me see if I can get this off now, that I can just push straight down. Again, it's that same screw from before. So most of this bottom is using the same type of screw with the washer. Actually, I'm going to keep that separate. And this should pop off. Yep. Just going to go over there. We're good. A piece of yuck came off. That's just yuck. So this is going to get... Actually, this was painted. I'm gonna paint this since it was painted previously. So that's gonna go in the to be painted pile, and these get put away to be cleaned. I am gonna leave this shaft in. I don't see a need to remove it, but it is gonna get completely cleaned and polished before I put everything back in. Okay, so let's deal with this bobbin winder here, shall we? Oh, that's tight. Okay. Hey, has this thing loosened up at all? Of course not. Of course not. Okay. I'm going to spray penetrating oil all over this thing Just let it think about itself for a minute. It's soaking. I wanted to point out this bobbin winder, this does not get a tire, okay? This is going, it's in line with the belt, okay? So it's going to be a belt-driven bobbin winder. But look, it is turning, so that's a good sign. So yeah, let me just leave that alone for a minute. And let's see about this wheel here. Okay, this is how you release the clutch on this. Okay, so spinning freely for winding the bobbin. You want to re-engage it, you click it down. There is a notch right here in the main part of the wheel. So when you turn it down, it has to engage with that piece to re-engage the wheel, okay? So the first thing I'm going to take off is this screw here to pull this outer part off. Okay, there's the screw for that. This should come off. Is there any set screws in there? I think that was the only one. Okay. We don't want you to turn. We want you to just pop off. And it should. Which tells me... my goodness. Okay. Well, let me look at this wheel. Looking at the wheel. I am not seeing set screws on the wheel. So I think the whole thing that holds the wheel on is just this piece. So if I need to, I can probably get my gear puller behind the big wheel and pull the whole thing out. I'm thinking. But before we do that, once again, we're going to put some penetrating oil in there and just let it think about itself for a while I move on to something else. All right. Oil has done its thing. I'm impressed with this penetrating oil so far. I don't remember where I bought it. It's called Free All. It smells very strong. It has a much stronger smell than a lot of things that I've used, but you know, there you go. Okay, so if I pull this screw out, oh, there's a pin in the back. Okay, that's interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so there's a little pin sticking out of the machine right here. So in the back, there's a slot right there. That slot, that's where that pin was sitting. Okay. So that slot is side to side. That's going to keep this from moving up and down. So maybe it doesn't move up and down. Well, that's interesting. They usually do. Maybe not this one. That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and take this bobbin winder apart while I'm here. Okay. So let's turn all this back down. Everything else looks kind of normal. This is a different shaped cap here to hold that hollowed bobbin winder tip on. And it is spring loaded inside. I usually don't take these out. I suppose you could. I mean, they went on at some point, but I usually just leave it in. So we're going to take the follower off here. Okay. Follower, the screw that holds it on, and the big spring, big follower spring. Okay. And there's no nuts in the back. So move you a bit. Okay. Everything is extremely oily right now, as it needs to be, I think. Okay. All right, so looking at this, this is not eccentric. A lot of times on machines, this is not centered, so you can make an adjustment up and down. Not so on this one. So when you put it together, it is what it is. I'm not seeing a spring or anything here. It's just the flat cam up against here. And here's the little screw that holds on the heart-shaped one. It's slightly rounded on the top. And this should come off. If it doesn't want to right now while it's in the ultrasonic, it'll probably vibrate loose, but that should come off. Okay, this is going to get stripped and painted, but I am going to actually put this piece in the ultrasonic first. I'm going to do that right now so that it can get cleaned up, because there's a lot of grime in there that I just don't need going into the stripper tank. Okay, so I cleaned it up, did a little touch-up work just to get, you know, these parts a little bit cleaner before I strip it, and I think that that's going to be good. So I'm going to set this away to be stripped and get all my parts put away. All right, I'm going to see if I can get this off. Set in place. I need to get a wrench. Not that one. And this is coming off, so that's good. Okay. All right. So here is that top part, and here is the wheel. Now there is a groove on the shaft, so that groove is going to line up with where that little screw was right there. All right, so on here, I want to get this piece off to clean it up before I paint. I need a whole different screwdriver actually. Just to fit closely here. There you go. Untwisting. I have several machines going on at the same time in my shop, and I was trying to put the videos out in order, but I think I'm just gonna overlap them, you know, so you might have a take apart of one and then a take apart of another, you know. Okay, so here's this piece. Goes in like that, all right? And there should be a spring. Okay, here's the spring. All right. There should be a hole in here. Let me see if I can find it again. Okay. In this center wheel here, there is a tiny little pinhole. That the end of this spring snaps into. There you go. Okay, so can you see in the center, the little end, that little nub there? That is the end of this spring. All right, so I'm going to pull it back out, but when it goes back in, it goes back in like this. There you are. Okay. It's going to go back in like this, and stick all the way in so that this spring is inside of this part like that. Okay, so this is going to get cleaned, this is going to get painted. Finally, the front plate. Before I do that, though, I'm going to go ahead and take this needle off down here. Okay. Come on. The needle should just come off, and this should just pop out, but it is not. Get back up there. There's not a threaded end on this side, okay? So it's being stubborn. All right, well, I'm gonna have to spray that. Can we get the presser foot off? Let's see if I can untwist this. You should be able to untwist this little knurled part here, and it is moving, so that's fabulous. Okay, let me move this needle up out of the way, and I should be able to pull this foot out, and I can, so that is great also. Screw on the bottom needs to come out. Well, I need to get this whole front plate out. I don't even know why I'm just messing around with that. There's a screw up here and a screw down here. I'm going to loosen those up, and this whole thing is going to fall. Not fall. I'm not going to let it fall, but I'm going to remove it, and all of that stuff will be inside. So let's see here. That's very loose. I have a feeling that maybe her owner got in here and serviced the inside of it already, so that would be nice. Okay. There we go, another screw. And let's see what we've got here. Oops, okay. All right, so this is what it looked like inside, and this is what it looks like in the nose. So I'm just going to put this part aside over here right now. And take a peek in here. I don't think that this was serviced. All right, there is a bearing on here. Is it going to come off? Doesn't feel like it wants to come off. No, I don't think it does. So we're going to let that bearing stay put. Thread take-up lever. Okay, the thread take-up lever is on a shaft that goes straight through the casting. All right, so this screw, checking this thing out over here. The center of the shaft that the thread take-up lever is the center of this cog-looking tension washer or something. Not too sure exactly, but it looks like this screw here is holding it on. So I thought, because there's not a screw head here to unscrew to take that off, I thought is if I take this off, then I can take that off, then maybe this thing will come off. We'll see. And I need a different bit, obviously. Give me a second. Okay. I need a bigger bit. Something that same length but thicker. There it goes. It's trying to match the width of the bit to the width of the screw. Okay, so there's the little screw that came out. All right. And let's see here. What is this thing? All right, I can tell you what it is. It's too dry, so we're going to spray penetrating oil on there and let it sit. Now, on the other side, it looks like it might be a pin right here, okay? So I'm thinking now that that part should be free, you know, once the penetrating oil does its thing, I can punch this and this whole part will come out. That's what it looks like. Okay, so let me get her propped up carefully. That will work, and find a punch that will fit. Actually, before I start tapping too hard, I'll try to clean this up a bit. Let's see what I can see. Is that... Okay, it looks like there is a tiny pin. Get you in closer. Right here. I think. I don't think that's a blemish. I think it might be a pin. I don't know. But again, let me see what I can do. Okay, I just had my video camera off when I thought it was on for a while, so let me recap of what I said once before. This little piece, you know, that was right here, and I said that looks like a pin. Actually, that goes over the end of a spring. There is a spring right here, okay? And it's in there, and I don't want to pull on it really hard and, you know, risk hurting the spring. But if this is over that spring, okay, to put this so it's under tension, you're going to rotate the cog and then set the little screw back into it, and that's going to put that spring under tension, you know. And I need to think about which way it needs to go. The spring is wrapping this way, okay? So clockwise is the way that it is wrapping in there right now for future me. So to put it under tension, I would need to turn this further that way, okay? But anyway, this came off. The spring is still in there. Inside of here, it looks like a flat screw head, okay? You can see that little flat part. It doesn't want to unscrew. And as I turn it, you can see it's turning this piece here, okay? So I'm not too sure. I really want to see if I can find a parts list and look that up before I start, you know, doing any damage on it. But I wanted to also show you this, the thread take-up lever here, okay? It has another one of those little square leather type of bumpers on it, which is going to have it riding on this cam when it comes up, and that's going to keep the cam from getting scored, but also it should make it pretty quiet in there. You can see there's no bumping noises, so that's nice. But for right now, this is a bit trapped in there. These screws don't have anything to do with this down there, unfortunately. Another thing I wanted to show you is contemplating what to do about the internals here. Okay, we don't have a big opening in the back to be able to get into things, which, you know, would have been nice, but oh well. We have a little peephole here and a peephole here. And down here, there's a threaded part. It's not a screw head on there, it's just threaded inside. And that is the end of a shaft that goes all the way through, okay? And that shaft is locking in this vertical, okay? And I may have to leave that in. It's functioning right now well, it's moving smoothly, and when I put it into my hot dip tank to strip paint, it's going to clean out anything that's in there. But I don't think this is going to come out at this point, you know, which isn't the end of the world. Do no harm in all of that. As far as this, can I wiggle it out now is my question. And if you look right here, you can see me trying to. If it looks like there's a screw right here that I would need to loosen and pull out to get this out, is what it looks like. Because the fork, again, I know it's hard to see, it's hard for me to see. The top of this is a fork, and it is completely loose on the top. So if I come in here and take a peek, I don't know. I think that even if I take this screw off, which I can get to from the top up here this way. What even is that going to do? Let me think about that. I might give it a shot, but this one's going to stay in just because I cannot take that horizontal out. But this one, there's a good chance I can get it out. Well, this screw is not exactly centered here, okay? So even if I put my screwdriver straight down, well, I might be able to get it. It's not wanting to turn. And I don't want to force it, so you know what? I need a new glove, but I think I'm going to leave those in. Maybe after it runs through the stripper, you know, things will look different. To make sure this stays in. The wheel out here, the wheel acted like a bushing to hold the main shaft in position. So right now it can move forwards to backwards. Maybe that's the key. Maybe they built it so that you had to pull the main shaft out. No, because you're going to run into a problem with those cams there. So it's going to stay. It's going to stay. Because the only way to get that out is... I don't like working inside of something I can't see very well. This is what I think. Here's the main shaft. There is a cog that is screwed onto it, and there's the screw for it right here. Okay, so picture a big round thing right here. If I pull this out, that might release the entire main shaft, but then I still have these things that are connected, okay? I am concerned that if I take that out, I won't be able to get things lined up in there again. And because there is not a whole lot of information on these out there, I would rather not do something that I can't see really clearly to document how it comes out before I put it back in. So with all that being said, I'm going to chicken out and leave that there and hopefully let the main shaft stay where it is. So let me move this out of the way and get the little nose plate down here so at least we can work on that. Okay, so back to somewhat familiar territory here. This was the needle clamp that I was fighting with earlier. Okay, so I took this unthreaded and took off this piece. Okay, that should release all of this to move forward, and it should make it so I can take this needle out. So let's just see what we can do here. Can I wiggle? You know what? I'm going to get a punch. I'm going to get a punch. Let me prop this up here so I can tap down right there. Okay. Just set this on the side here. See, on this side, there is no screw head there. That's not going to come off. I think it's just old. It's like welded with gunk and old, you know, whatever. Crud. Let's just put a bit more penetrating oil on all of this stuff here, just for funsies. Okay. And I don't want to tap so hard that I'm going to risk bending the presser bar. But I am going to get this out. It's not rust, it's just gunk. All right. Well, because this needle bar is going to slide out. Well, I might be able to pull it from the bottom. Let me see here. Let me see. Let me see, said the blind man. Let me try to take this little bracket off here. I need a different bit. Hang on. Okay. Move you off to the side. There you go. Maybe you can see there. Okay. So here is this screw. A bit conical shaped-ish, but then it goes flat at the top. Interesting. I need a new dish. Keep it sorted, Marie. Okay. So this screw over here looks different. Well, it ate my little bit. So let me see here. That one's gonna get trashed. And see what else I can come up with. Something stronger, perhaps. That might work. There it goes. Okay, this is a little set screw. Okay, which goes here, and can this bracket pop off now? No, it doesn't work that way, Marie. Get a life. All right. Well, we've got those two screws out. Saving them for the future. This is the tension unit here, and it needs to come out. Okay, so here's this knob, and this should be a spring underneath there. Come on. Why aren't you coming off? I'm going to hit that with a wire wheel and see if that's going to free this off, because that just looks like a dirty pin. Okay, So that looks a lot cleaner now. Can it get wiggled off? Oh my goodness. There is nothing on the inside holding it on. I don't want to yank, because if I yank really hard, this is going to bend. We don't want that. Let me see if I can put something in there and pop it out. Hi, Smokey.
Hey there, how's it going? I hope you're having a great day.
It's going good. Hey, I am working on a Queen Treadle. I think that it was made by the White Sewing Machine Company, very old. And I'm looking for a manual or a parts list. Can you find a link for me?
You can find a manual for your Queen Treadle Sewing Machine on 𝐷zmax.net. They offer a downloadable manual for the white rotary sewing machine, which should be pretty similar to your Waddle. Let me know if you need any more help.
Do you see a parts list separate from a manual?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of times manufacturers do provide a separate parts list for their machines, and it's usually more detailed than the manual. If you're looking for one for a specific machine, I can definitely help you find it.
Like I said, it's a fiddle-based treadle sewing machine, and it has the word Queen written on the front.
Got it. That sounds like a really interesting machine. I can definitely help look up a parts list for it if you need. Just let me know.
That's what I want you to do.
I couldn't find a specific separate parts list for your Queen Treadle Sewing Machine, but I did find some resources that might help. The Treadle Clean website has info on similar models, and the Vintage Singer parts site can provide parts for treadle sewing machine cabinets. If you want, I can help you look further into these resources.
Yeah, can you just send me those links, please?
I couldn't find a direct parts list for your specific machine, but I did find a great resource called treadleon.net, which is super helpful for vintage sewing machines and might help you track down the parts you need.
Thank you very much. Well, let's see what AI can give us, huh? Okay. The Treadle Queen. I don't know who you are, Treadle Queen. All right, well, this is just main things. What I'm looking for is a lot of times they will have a parts list, and it's like a diagram with all of the parts and everything. And it's a lot of times they're in exploded views, so you can see how things go together. I don't think there is one. All right, well, while I am searching other places, I wanted to show you, I've cleaned up around this, but if you can see, this isn't just a pin, it's like a little head, okay? It's like a little head on there. And inside, can I point to something here? Right here, there is a tiny little pinhole right there. And I'm thinking that you would need to punch through there and it would pop out this side. How I would do that right now, I don't know. And this definitely needs to come off before I can paint. So this is another one of those pieces that I'm just going to have to go, For right now, this, came off, which is great, but if I grab this and try to pull it out, I am concerned I would deform it so much that it might impact the way that this tension spring thing here is supposed to work. Curious, huh? So with all of that, let's just, sally forth. And let's take off the lifter lever. That should be doable, Hang on a second. Okay. Able to get this screw to turn, so that's lovely. All right, so when it goes back on, this of course is the front here, be in that orientation, okay? So taking it off, do we have a washer on the back? We do have a washer, but the screw, head of the screw is on this side, the washer is on this side, and it's kind of gunked on there. There we go. Okay, so you can see where that washer is there. Let me go ahead and put this piece away. I got another thing loose here. I went over to my parts machines and took a look at another white rotary that I had, and it had the same needle bar or needle clamp, which gave me a lot of boldness, so I came back and I tapped it harder, and the whole thing came out. But this needle is still stuck in there, so let's get... I need to actually probably put this into my clamp, but I need to tap. This needle is probably just kind of crud welded in there. Okay, so I'm going to go put this into my little vise on my other table there. Put the little punch on top and just tap out this needle so that I can separate the pieces. I was able to do that, so you can see where it was kind of attached. Where are my needle pieces? Oh, here. Okay, so this is part of the needle system. This screw should be able to go in and out to hold that in place. It doesn't look like it wants to. I'm going to see if I can loosen that up. It's wrong. It doesn't. So as this tightens up and the needle is in here, such a nasty needle, this is going to push up against the needle bar and it'll put pressure there and hold it in place. So there you go. Okay. So with that off, the other things I need to take off is this slide. This is what that bearing that's up on the cam on the nose it travels in. So let me see what I can do here. Okay, this one's unscrewing, which is lovely. Okay, that is what the screw looks like. That with needle bar stuff, and there's another one up here off to an angle. It's also coming loose, thankfully. Come on. All right, let's see if these are the same. One feels magnetized. I think they are the same. They look the same to me. So that's good. All right. So technically, this should be able to slide up and down on this shaft. It's not going to because the shaft is filthy and this is crud welded. So once again, I'm going to go in here with a wire wheel and see if I can clean this off before I start tapping this piece. Well, I can only get this side. I can't spin that yet. I'm going to see if I can get some pliers down here because this is a squared off area. Tiny vice grips on here and see if I can rotate it. I am able to rotate it. Okay, that helps me out a lot. I'm going to rotate it so I can see where the back side was and then clean off that dirty part. So, like there. Get the Dremel back over here. I'm not going to get it perfect, but if I can get it better, it'll slide better. All right, so what I need to do is pull this whole shaft out the bottom. Meanwhile, kind of tapping this piece so that it's going to travel up. And I'm going to throw penetrating fluid on there. Because at this point, why not? I've lost, there it is. I almost lost my favorite hammer, which, you know, would be bad. Okay, once again, I am using brass. Let's see. It's going to want to poke up. So I'm going to have to tip her up like this to keep this whole shaft from sliding down. And I'm going to try to punch this up if I can hold it all. Oh my gosh, everything is so slippery. So slippery. I think I moved it a millimeter, but I did move it. I need to just move the camera out of my way because it's like right here where I can really grip this. And I think I'm going to get a different punch, maybe one that's a bit bigger here. So while I'm holding everything that's very slippery. Oh my gosh, just stay. There it goes. Nope, it's not. See, it is moving a bit. If you can see, it's gone like 1/4 of an inch. So it is going, so just give me some more time. I'm just going to keep doing this until this slides all the way down, and then I can pull that shaft out. I've almost got it to the top. I'm just going to see. Oh, come on. If I can just kind of wiggle it out. Almost. There it goes. Okay, so there is my needle bar. Intact, lovely, and this should come out now. Okay, this slide is going to go up and down here. All right, now you see these 2 screws, that's holding on a bracket down here, and I need to get that out, but that assists with things in here, you know, so many things in there. But let me put this away before I lose anything. Okay, so with that out of the way, now we need to deal with presser bar. Will this unscrew up here? Yes. Yes, yes. Okay. So we're going to move you so I can see. Okay, the top finial. These over here. This is going with presser bar stuff. These 2 are the screws that I took out of this area. This was the set screw, and that was the conical-ish one. Okay, so now will this spring come out? Yes, it will. All right, since that screw is out, again, technically, this should come out because the only thing holding it is the crud that's in this bracket. But before I start yanking on it, I'm going to take all of this stuff off down here. Let's see here. Okay, I'm taking this screw off now because I had some leverage, and actually when I was turning it, the whole presser bar turned, so that freed it up. So we have this big screw at the very bottom, and does not want to come free. Okay, let's see if I can just unscrew this. Sorry about that. Unscrew this all the way, perhaps. Oh, it's coming out. Well, not quite. Okay, I'm believing this is the thread cutter, but I'm going to go ahead and take this off here. The screw that's holding the presser bar foot clamper thing on is going to be on the inside of the machine. So this is the front, it's on the direct opposite side right there, okay, facing the underneath. So I'm going to set this little screw, holding it on over here, and this really needs to come off. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Let me just try to wiggle the piece off here. Perhaps this is another time for some penetrating oil. Because this should unscrew. Just keep going, just keep going. Yes, be bold, be brave, be Wisconsin. Okay, there you go, it finally came off. There's a little slide plate up here that's working like a washer. I'm not going to yank that off right now, but it's up there. Okay, this is the top, that's the bottom. All right. We're not going to try to yank that off right now. Let's just get this other little piece right here off. If I can. I think my bit is too big. Hang on. Thank you for everybody who just kind of sits there and watches me do this. I think it must be mind-numbing at some time. Oh, come on. I need to push. I do appreciate it. You know who you are, my top fans. Make lovely comments all the time. I really do appreciate it. Okay, so that was nasty. Look how that's glued on. This screw is on this way. Now, if you look straight down, ooh, stomach's growling, I'm hungry. It's angled slightly. So it was on this way, so it is angled. It was, whether it's correct or not, it was angled towards the front. Okay, so it's sloping down towards the front of the nose. And if I pull this tiny screw out, which I do need to, that is what it looks like. Okay. All right. At this point, I've got a rectangle down here I can grab. Can I rotate it? Yes. Let me throw some more penetrating oil in here, because that's just rough. Let me get my hand tool rescue wrench, because I can lock this on here like this. I love this because it will do that. Okay, so now that that is locked on, now I can turn it and it's not going to hurt anything. All right, yay. All right, so there it is. Presser bar. Completely nasty. This should come off, but once it's in the ultrasonic again, it might vibrate off. So let me go ahead and put all these pieces away. Okay, so I'm going to pull this little piece out now, finally. Okay, which goes with these two little screws pulled out earlier. That's going to go away. And I still need to get that bracket out. Okay, let's move some stuff out of the way, shall we? Okay. All right, I'm going to need to get something so I can push down really hard and not worry about this turning. So I'm probably going to go put it in my wood vise over there. So when I'm talking about my wood vise, this is what I'm talking about. Just put a little cloth in there. And one screw came out well, the other one required some different bits, but there we go. So here is the little bar. Okay, that was kind of glued on, and the 2 screws. So let me put this away. I still need to deal with this. Yeah. These screws are adjustment screws. See this top one has this pin sticking out? Okay, that's an adjustment screw so that you can tighten it in or loosen it so that your needle position can be exactly right. I might just leave that in there and so that when I paint it, because I'm assuming that this is correct right now. So that way when I paint it, it will match. Or I could take it out. Yeah, I could do that too. And up here, again, there is a screw right here. And what do you go up against, little screw? Kind of a mystery. It doesn't come all the way through here. It doesn't hold anything there. Don't think it does anything in here. It's just bonus screw. I don't know. If you know, drop me a comment. But there's one here and there's one here. So oh, I know what it is. I know what it is. Okay. They have a bushing set in here, which I am not taking out, in here and here. And if you can kind of see, I'm leaving those bushings in, but these screws are holding those bushings in place. So that is staying in place. Okay, mystery solved. I'm going to leave this in because to get it out, I'm going to have to pull really hard, and if it breaks, I just don't want to deal with that, and I can slide a sleeve around it and mask that. This I'm still debating over, okay? So this is what we have right now, and I think it's just a question of bravery on my part. A lot of times once I know what something is, then I can go ahead and push the envelope, you know? I can, however, see the end of that hole a lot better now, though. I get a small punch in there. No, that's like, it's like a pinhole, literally. It's like a pinhole. So yeah, that's not going to happen. I'm going to play with this and see if I can just get that to wiggle out. It wasn't hard at all. I just sat down and put a little screwdriver behind there. Barely push it down, went boop, and the whole thing came out. So there you go. This is a tension disc, which is extremely filthy. Okay, that went in behind. And there's a little hole there, the little pinhole, that this pin is going to go through. Don't want to lose this tiny little pin. That will give me a nightmare. Okay, and this needs to get cleaned up. Because the thread tension is going to be passing between these two. It's going to be like wrapped through here, but it's between these two, so we really need to make sure those are clean. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to get a magnet on this little pin here before I do anything, and yes, it will stick to the magnet, so yay, that's great. Pop those on, and then this was the little knob that was holding it together. Okay, that's leaving us with this. All right, what do I see? I see what looks like a knob and a washer. My gut says this unscrews like that. I'm going to give it another shot. right, I think once again all I needed was bravery because I gave a little turn with my non-marring pliers there and I felt something come loose. So I feel the spring is releasing tension. There. All right, so right underneath the little knob was a washer. Not a big surprise. Get another dish here. Okay. And what do we have here? There is a spring. Dropped on the floor. Hang on, let me pick it up. Okay. That's the spring right there that was over this post. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put that up. I still haven't decided with that thread take-up lever though. So here is where I am right now. I'm hungry, and you know, I should never do things when I'm hungry because it makes me frustrated. And it's my husband Mark's birthday, and I think we're gonna go to Olive Garden. You know, everything here is a long drive. I think Olive Garden to get there, it's about an hour and a half. We're gonna go there, do some stuff while we're out. So I'm gonna let this marinate in some penetrating oil. But I'm feeling pretty good that at this point, the only thing that is still a mystery to me is how this is going to come out. And if you see, can you see how that pin is turning? It is turning. So my gut says, Marie, be brave and punch it out. But I want the penetrating oil to do its stuff for a little bit longer, and after I come back, then we'll see how it goes. Hello everybody, welcome to the next very stormy day here. I have been contemplating this morning what to do about this. So let me give you a close-up here of what we've got going. As this moves up and down, okay, you can see this whole little part inside is rotating. And this morning I already put a brass punch here and gently tapped it. It's not moving. The pin itself, you can see, is rotating, but it's not going to move side to side. And this is internal enough that I think I can clean up around it. I may just leave it in. And this normally isn't pooched out all the way. That'll go back in. And the reason I've decided that is I don't know what's in here. And I searched and searched last night, and I could not find a parts diagram or anything. There's a lot of people with little blog posts talking about how much they love their machine and showing a lot of external pictures, but I cannot find anything, you know, with parts, an exploded image, anything like that. I can't even find a manual. And the design of this machine is, in a lot of ways, very different from all the other whites I've worked on. And they were made for such a limited time, and again, that information is kind of sketchy. Some people say they were only made in 1920. Some people, they say they were made from 1893 to 1920. I don't know. It's a really weird, vague thing. And it kind of makes me, it feels like when Singer bought Wheeler and Wilson, and there was like that little carryover period where there was a bunch of singers that had like the Wheeler and Wilson W9 stuff going on. And even that leather machine I did a while back, that tall boy, it had some of that stuff going on. This has enough totally different parts that it makes me think that White might have bought a smaller outfit that was making these and then kind of redid their own stuff. Because even if White usually had the whole front piece with all the stuff in it, it was configured different in here. So I don't know. My gut is there was a separate company that made these. And White was based out of Cleveland, Ohio, just north of here. And there was, at that point, a lot of little individual sewing machine companies. If they bought it out, continued to produce them until they ran out of parts, and then that competitor is out of the way and, you know, they could move on with their life. I don't know. That's my gut because it's so different than the other white machines I've used. So, yeah, long story short, at least I got the little cog piece and the little screw out, you know, save that. But this, I'm just going to clean up in here and mask around when I paint, and I think that that's going to be just fine. So there you go. If anyone finds a manual, a parts diagram, a parts list, or anything like that, please leave it in the comments. There's a lot of us who would be very interested to see that, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, she's a beautiful machine, and she does have, you know, her decals are good. Down here, up here, they're a little bit sketchy, but what the owner wants is actually going to be really beautiful, very cheerful, more in keeping with the owner's personality. And the thing is, you own your machine. The machine does not own you. I should make that a slogan, maybe. Who knows? But there's enough of these out there that they're not ultra rare. And my feeling is you are the one who's going to be using the machine, loving the machine, and sometimes just like old cars, you know, they only came in black because Japanning was the thing, you know, it wasn't the paint, this is Japanning. But now we have options, and now we can buy cars in pretty colors, so why not make a sewing machine that you're going to love and you're going to use, something that you would want to have more in keeping with your own personality. So anyway, that's enough about that. I'm going to call it a day. Go ahead and set this aside. I've got something actually in my paint booth right now. I've got something that's about to be painted. This is going to go in my stripper tank next. So we will see how all of that works out. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.